Hi guys, welcome to the Improvement Season podcast. It is me, Steve Hall, and over there is the dark joke master, Pascal Floor.
I thought that you're going to introduce now with the Dark Knight.
No,
Batman. It's Batman.
You're the Joker. You're more like the Joker.
Yeah,
so
I think
evil
so.
and dark.
Yeah. So I even have a tattoo of the Joker. So I think it's more appropriate. Yes.
To be fair, I think I'm a bigger fan of the Joker than Batman.
Yeah, he's just. I don't know what it is. I'm not a big fan of the DC universe. Like, not at all. I don't know why, but Marvel always was a little bit more appealing from the heroes, at least. But the villains from DC Universe, especially like Batman villains, they are freaking amazing. Like, there are so many good villains over at Batman. I mean, I don't know what they did, but they did it really good or well at Batman and Gotham.
It was good. And actually, did you get many messages? I haven't spoken to you about this. Many messages about the last episode.
I know, just like 2 or 3 messages. I
got like 5 people being like, "Oh my gosh, Pascal!" But
yeah,
everyone took it well. So
yeah, so I mean, those who send you a message, we have never heard of the people who took it the wrong way. Or so,
just
right?
They disliked the video.
Yeah, totally. But we always get a dislike. So. Yeah.
I saw someone comment, actually. They said something like, every time you dislike the video, Pascal loses 5 kilos off his bench.
Yeah, and that's why I'm not benching anymore, because I can't bench anymore. It's minus 225, I said. By now, I can't bench anymore. No, but it had more so to do with the setup of the bench. The bench where I'm now at the old gym, so I could actually get back to benching again. Don't know.
What are you doing?
Maybe I will.
Dumbbells.
Yeah, dumbbells and just incline. Lots of incline presses. I don't know, but ever since I did that, like increased or more so focused on incline pressing, I had the feeling that it just is much better for chest development than just regular benching. Because there's so much, especially for me, because I'm pressing so much out of my triceps.
Yeah.
I never really felt my chests working on the regular bench. Never. It's crazy. And incline, especially now in the metabolite block, I kept them in. Even at a rep range of only like 10 to 12 repetitions, holy shit, my chest is starting to get on fire, like on the latter reps, on the effective reps. Mate, what is it at the moment with everyone talking about effective reps?
Yeah, I know.
Everyone.
Even us. Even I did the reps and the fatigue to stimulus ratio for.
It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's one of those black and white like people always jump to conclusions and they're like, oh, that means you're saying every other rep isn't important, or it's kind of like hinting towards an episode coming out, pivotal reps and that sort of thing as well. And it's kind of, I guess, people just love a little sexy terminology and.
No, absolutely. And I think that there is definitely something to it, probably, right? Research isn't really well conducted on that end. Much more research needs to be conducted to have a clear idea of what's going on there. But there is a good rationale for it. Yes, this makes sense, right? However, there are no effective reps without any kind of reps before that. So exactly. at some points, the effective reps need to be created. And that doesn't come out of nowhere. And thus, the ineffective reps, so to speak, are effective in it for itself because they lead to the effective reps. So, yeah, that's why I have somewhat of a problem with maybe it's just the terminology or so, because it makes it sound like as if all the other reps before that are worth jack shit. And that is not correct, right?
I think it's similar to it's like a chicken and egg, isn't it? That sort of thing. But also with like even minimum effective volume, when you say that to someone, they then think anything less than that is like completely wasted. And it's like, well, no, that's not wasted. And potentially even, depending on the person, could lead to some small hypertrophy, just immeasurable. It's kind of minimum effective to see any result. So it's kind of, that you really have to dig into some of these terms to get a full understanding of them. I can see why people get so bogged down and confused, and it scares me when people get really dug into the minutia. I think it's partly why people get coaches, because we're like, don't worry about that shit. You don't need to.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're totally right. And that is just recently someone said or posted a comment under the last Mike Israel video. And someone said, like, Chris Beardsley debunking all of the facts Mike Israel is putting out. And I just thought, like, okay, is he ready? He's just like analyzing studies once again and interpreting research the way he interprets research, right? And this is how different ideas and methodologies come into play. And only because the views may differ on one or two things, I think the overall concept still stays the same. And this is always the fallacy, so Cyrus law, where people focus on the 5% they differ on or have different views on, and they fight over the 5% and totally forget about the 95% they are agreeing or in agreement on, right? And this is basically the same thing. Is he debunking all the things? No. Mike has some ideas and makes some concepts out of those to make it easier to understand. Whereas someone like Chris interprets the research maybe different and has also different views on personal anecdotes and stuff like that. And this is how different concepts come to life, so to speak.
Yeah. This is part of the reason I really enjoy the guys of like Eric Helms, Mike Israel, Brad Schoenfeld, James Krieger, is because not only are they interpreting research, they're carrying out research, and they're training themselves and train others. It's like bingo, bingo, bingo. Because if you just have one of those, you kind of miss a few things. And I think that sometimes happens with some people. I'm not saying Chris, obviously. I'm not completely sure I don't know enough about him, but there's certainly some people like, the general like bro who just goes into dim and does what works for him.
Yeah. Still, it must be said that I want Chris on the podcast at some point, because I think that he is bringing out super interesting stuff. I'm following him since ages already. I've been subscribed to the S&C research review back when Brad Contreras was still around there as well. And he does fantastic work. So I would love to get his him on the podcast and just his views out there over on our podcast. So, but I totally agree with you with those people that they are kind of walking the walk as well. And this is why I'm at least such a big fan of Mike as well. It's not that we are fanboys, and I think that many people mistake that, right? I still disagree with a lot of things Mike is putting out there, and I even said it here on the podcast a couple of times, such as with muscle loss, for example. And I even asked the question once on our podcast to Mike what he thinks about like true muscle loss, and I still disagree with his interpretation of everything when it comes to true muscle loss. Just this as one example, but what he's doing, he is living bodybuilding. He is so passionate about that, while at the same time he was a professor. He's able to interpret research. He's science-based, and also he's just a really smart cookie. And with this combination, it's just like, in my opinion, it is rarely seen that someone is living that lifestyle or has that mindset about the entire thing of bodybuilding, like an open mind, an open scientist's mind, while at the same time having an extremely passion or have extreme high passion for the entire sport of bodybuilding, and also doing it himself, right? So that's why I just love to hear what he has to say, because he is also willing to change his stance on many things. He did it in the past a couple of times, but he is using himself and also the people around him as just experiments and observational data, right? And that is so invaluable, in my opinion.
I don't know if you ever saw Chris Beardsley. I think it was he used to have a blog called like Myo Muscle or something. It was something like that, but it got taken down. It had loads of cool articles on it. I remember reading it when I was I was still working in an office. So it was I just know
that he has a book about hypertrophy.
Yeah, that's on Amazon at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. It's over on Amazon, and I just stumbled upon it, I think because of Thiago. So shout out to Thiago. I'm following him over on Goodreads. He's doing amazing work on reviewing books, and he is just reading so many books. And I'm always getting my inspiration for books from him. And there, I saw in his list the hypertrophy guide from Chris Beardsley, and I wasn't aware that he actually has a book about hypertrophy. Crazy. Wasn't even aware of that. Can't really remember, but you can see that over on Goodreads. Yeah. So check out Thiago, and then check out the book by Chris Beardsley. So yeah.
And I don't know, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was, I don't know if they're related to Chris or Chris had reviewed the book, or I don't know what it was, but it was Squat Every Day. And that was a book I read.
Matt Garryman.
Yes, that might have been, yeah, Matt Garryman. So I read that years ago, and for some reason I think that was, I don't know if it was somewhat related, or it was on his blog or something, but anyway, I'm rambling about nothing.
Yeah, we are rambling about basically. No, I think it's always interesting to just share our thoughts here, right? That's what people enjoy, what I enjoy as well. I mean, this is kind of for us as well, kind of catch up. We are doing voice messages at the moment, a little bit more infrequent, but this is more so my fault because I just have so much on my plate.
Doesn't care for me.
No, I don't care. I'm out of love. I'm out of love. Don't love you anymore. Son of a bitch. No, but Katie is now bound to Netflix, not because she's lazy, but because she's just she's so pregnant, unbelievably pregnant. No, and that's why she has to relax the entire time, and I have to take care of everything she did before in the household, taking care of Hugo, bringing him to the kindergarten, picking up groceries, all these kind of things in conjunction to just what I did before, and that is a lot at the moment. So yeah, that's why my voice messages to Steve are a little bit infrequent, and that's why I enjoy having the improvement season, because it's kind of forced upon us to talk with another.
True. And actually, on the point of everything else, you're doing all of that. How's your training going? I know there was a few messages where you were kind of like, you feel like shit, and then you were like, I feel better, and then you felt like shit again.
Yeah, I mean, you can really tell the additional workload that is just what I just talked about, right? With picking up groceries, many people would say like, okay, this isn't a lot, right? But if you have to take care of so many more things additionally to what you've done before in conjunction with your training and all that kind of stuff, you will immediately feel that. This is something that we've been talking about so often, especially just like recovery time. If you want to really progress well in the gym, the best time when I progressed was when I had a low stressful environment. I could just sleep as long as I wanted to, go to the gym when I wanted to, right? So that was the time when I was finishing evening school. Didn't need to go to the evening school anymore. Didn't have any kind of other obligations except for work, right? But because you've been working at home, you've been a single, you had just plenty of time across the day, right? And that was the most productive time in my entire training career, because I was able to sleep like 9-10 hours, have a midday nap, focus really on just like eating whenever I needed to eat, and had the time to cook properly. And if I wanted to, I could rest for like 1 or 2 hours, just lie down. And that was the most productive time when it comes to training. And it's completely the other way around now. There's so much to do at the moment that you can just feel it. You can just feel it. And I think that everyone who has undergone such a time of their life, they can attest to that this is probably or has happened to them during such a stressful time as well, even if it's just additional work in the household. It's not enjoyment, right? I don't think that anyone is like, oh shit, yes, finally I can clean the bathroom. And yeah, don't know. I don't think that anyone is really enjoying that or seeing that as quote unquote downtime, right? It's still kind of work, even though I would rather not like to see it that way, but it is. I don't enjoy it, thus it stresses me a little bit, but it has to be done. And yeah, I also want to support Katie in that situation. And yeah, when she's lying around here the entire day, of course, I want to be there for her. Thus, I'm taking care of all the other things that she can't take care of.
I guess ultimately, bodybuilding is the epitome of a selfish sport. And that's why when these guys go off to, I forget where the camp is now off the top of my head.
Kuwait.
Yeah, Kuwait, and they go over and
oxygen.
What do? They
Oxygen
just
gym.
batter themselves. I don't know how many times a day they train, and then they eat, sleep. That's all they do, and take shitloads of drugs probably as well.
Yeah, but that's the quote unquote secret, at least what I've heard. It's just that the people are there only to train, to eat, and to rest. Nothing else. It is like a boot camp to get jacked.
We should get a natty boot camp going.
Yeah, natty oxygen. And everyone gets there, and everyone comes out of it the same. It's just the life of a natural.
No, you secretly just have to jab them as they come in. It's like, no, this is just like, I don't know, normal protocol. This isn't steroids.
Yeah, here you have some sweeteners, artificial sweeteners, and in reality it's D-bol the entire day. Yeah, have a coffee with some sweetener in them.
Holy shit, I'm just thinking, imagine if I took D-bol right now, because I'm in the gym sweating my fucking ass off, doing not even that much, and I'm just like, my t-shirt and vests are soaked through, and I'm just like, I would be dying right now if I was to do something like that.
Yeah, and just think about that, because you said it, and this is something that we will touch on once again, you had like a little bit of a edema going on, right?
Yes,
this last week. And just imagine taking on top of a D-bol, which is known for causing a lot of bloating and water retention. Just like
horrendous.
Yeah, that would be really like 30 pounds of pure water gain.
Drugs, yeah, they make the water retention is ridiculous. I've got one client who's on gear, and Andrew, shout out to Andrew, and he's very open about it, so I don't feel bad for saying it. But his like, we can't pay attention to his scale weight. He came from like 230, not 230, but like 220 pounds. He's lost like 10 pounds in like 2 weeks, like, or even a week. I think he lost it in. It's just like, geez, this is ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I even heard of people who lost that amount like nearly on 2 days or so.
Nuts.
Or gaining it. It's crazy. I mean,
but yeah, with me, my body weight was basically hovering around like 198 pounds, and then it suddenly shot up to almost 200. And like, I got a load of messages from people like so excited. I guess it's been like a year in the works of almost hitting 200 pounds. But unfortunately, probably a pound or so of that was just water retention, which I hadn't been having any, and then it suddenly had come. I think it is.
You jinxed it.
Yeah, I know. I think it's related partly maybe to the environment, because temperature suddenly got quite a lot warmer and more humid, and maybe something happened there in terms of like electrolyte water balance, but also, like you said, stress. I think I'm not
due to the upcoming seminar, maybe.
Yeah, I get nervous at the stupidest things. I told you, I think we were on a podcast on Sammy and Danny's podcast. And I was like, I was nervous for that podcast. I was like, why am I nervous? This is just like, I don't get talking to you. I don't get nervous in the slightest. Talking to most of the people I talk to on the podcast, don't get nervous. For that, was nervous. And then,
see it as I'm quite offended by that, actually. I always thought that I'm quite intimidating.
Imagine if I still I think you probably could make me nervous with some things. But I got nervous last night, and don't judge. Well, no, feel free to judge me. Me and Charlotte were watching Love Island, and the guys and the girls had to they were sitting around this fire pit, and they had to do like a sexy dance to make all of them anxious. I know it's the worst thing ever, but I was nervous for the people doing the sexy dance. I was like imagining myself in their shoes. I was like, I would shit myself.
Yeah, God, I mean, I've never watched. I did with you one episode when I was over. Yeah, when I was over in London. I don't know when it was. I think it was probably in 2018 or so. No, it was in the new apartment. Oh, that's for sure. Yeah. But anyway, so I only watched Love Island one episode, right? So I'm not in a right position to judge you, but when those kind of TV shows, right, I can't watch them because they are so freaking cringeworthy that I mean, what people say, what people do, it's just like shit.
It's the only. You kind of get into it like it's a little drama or like you're like, oh, what are they going to do? It just comes a bit, it's easy to switch off to, I'll say that. You don't have to think hard.
No.
So hopefully I push my calories up to 4,000. Hopefully I'll keep gaining. appropriately. I am a little bit like, something I've really noticed this mesocycle is a lack of, I don't get huge pumps, even from my metabolite work, not getting huge pumps. And soreness is non-existent. I don't think I've got sore once. And I know those are only two things, but we talk about them in the primer phase. They're very kind of like bro-y, and there's not like necessarily a load of data to back up any of these statements or comments. And I don't think I'm not growing muscle tissue because those things aren't happening necessarily, but I think it's a good sign that I definitely am in need of a primer phase. And I'm really looking actually forward to it coming, because...
When was the last time you took a primer phase?
A full primer phase, the last one I did was 2018, the start of 2018.
Oh, shit. Okay, crazy. Yeah.
I've only done like a week of primer. Like I had like a deload, and then we went on holiday, so it was like an active recovery week, and then did a primer phase after that, like 1 week of low volume, and then I went straight into a mini cut, I think. Yeah. So I haven't done a proper one for too long.
Oh, crazy. Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah. So I need one, and it will set up hopefully some good training and fat loss, which I'm really looking forward to. I think I said it last time, like I'm over gaining now big time. I'm just like, I just, especially in summer, you're just like,
1,000 calories,
hot, stuffed. Can't deal with this.
It's awful. I once pushed my body weight up to 90 kilograms, and it was in the midst of summer, 2016, and there was a time frame of 3 months where it was just like hot each and every single day, like over 30 degrees. It was absolutely awful and terrible, especially because I was riding my bicycle each and every single day as well, and I was just sweating my ass off. And I was close to, I think, 3,500, 3,600 calories as well. Just getting that one down was just pain in the ass. Yeah. Like, honestly, especially when it's so hot outside.
Yeah, I'm looking at my choices in terms of nutrition. I'm like, these really aren't like ideal, but just to get it in, I'm just like, I can't be funny about this. I just got to get in like bagels, cereal, hot crust buns, whatever it needs to be. It needs to just get in.
And I'm already in a position where I'm just like eating lots of these low calorie ice creams, but more so Ben and Jerry's low calorie ice cream now, which is still per pint 600 calories.
Yeah, it's
right?
not low.
But just to get those calories in, because I'm already at a point, and I'm not even close to eating as much as you are. But I'm already like at a point where I'm just like in a really good position, not really hungry, not really craving things. And when you're then busy as well, holy shit, how do you find the time to actually get all those calories in? And then you end the day with, I don't know, 1,500 calories, and you don't want to consume 1,500 calories right before bedtime, because that makes you even hotter, and just you're boiling when you're going to bed. And sometimes it's just my veins are popping out of my arm because I'm getting so hot. And Katie's always like saying, oh, fuck, you're boiling. You're boiling whenever she touches me. Sometimes it's funny because sometimes we are lying in bed and she's not allowed to touch me because that is uncomfortable to me, because that just creates even more heat.
That's why I'm like with Charlotte. If she touches me, I like roll away. I'm like, no, I don't want any of yours. I'll take it all. My body absorbs heat.
It's crazy.
And actually, I was just thinking, we're going to literally start our primer and then cut at the same time.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like there's an opportunity there to somehow document things a little bit more than what we've done here, maybe. I don't know, something simple. Last time I know we think we blogged for a while and then we gave up at some point. It would be, I wonder if there's something easy we could do.
Maybe someone has an idea, because I have literally no idea whatsoever what's out there, how to document this the best. I know that there will be a platform in the future where we can document that, but that's still a little bit far away. We can just in the near future
overlay this with nudes every week. God, I don't want to look at my first photos particularly.
I know, neither do I. But I know that I'm starting in not a bad place. So sometimes I'm looking at myself and be like, yeah, that's not bad at all. But it's also gym lighting. So
yeah. I'm like, some angles I really am the other day, I was like, I want to get to the point of which I look at my body from every angle and I'm like, you look fucking jack. Not just like, I don't know, if I take a video and I'm like, my calves look so small. I don't want to put this up. I don't think that's ever going to change, to be fair.
Well, I still don't know what is going on with my calves. They always look kind of decent, and I've never really... So I incorporated direct calf training since like 2 years now, but it's not that they have been shitty in the past or so. And I mean, I'm at a decently high body fat percentage right now, and the video I just posted over on Instagram was at a really bad quality because in the morning time, the gym lighting is super, super dark or a little bit, so you can't really see that much. And the camera on your mobile device isn't really good at low lighting situation, so it's really grainy, it's a little bit blurry. And in reality, it even looks so much better than on camera, but you can see a lot of definition in my calf musculature. I don't know what is going on, mate.
You've already got old man calves.
Yeah, totally. And I'm quite excited to actually get that first cut started, to get into a really, really good spot and then push for the last bit. And this time around, I'm ready to push it towards the end. Unless my results come back with a severe heart damage or so. Don't know. So we have to see about that. But for now, I'm not expecting that this is, touch wood, that this is not going to happen. So yeah.
I think the nice thing is at least now it's not something that is out of question. It's kind of like, for me, competing, I don't know, it always in the past was like something scary and like, oh my gosh, it's going to take so much commitment, it's going to demand so much. But having done it last time and now thinking about it this time, I'm going to shave off a good like 5-10% of body fat, and then, well, not quite that much, but like just over 5% body fat, maintain that, be a low, like good 10% body fat or so, and then dig into some shows over the course of like 16 weeks or something. It seems way more like, now I've done it, like I've done it twice and taken so many people to stage, it seems just much more doable. And I know it's an extreme sport and it will be really hard, but not like it was in my head before.
And you know what? You brought something up there, and funny enough that you said it, because I didn't expect that you would say it, that you brought people to stage now, a couple of ones, right? And it's the same for me, because, so I've never stepped on stage myself, but because I brought people to stage now, I kind of have observed the process from the outside with plenty of people by now, and that prepared me, on the other hand, much, much more, which is so funny because so many people say like you have to have stepped on stage before you were actually coaching people to get on stage. And while I see the benefits in that, I don't see the requirements or necessity for it. It will probably benefit me afterwards, but because I have taken people to stage, right, and not just one or two, I have already made some experience, right, along with that. And that prepared me, on the other hand, instead of the other way around, where I went through it first and then I was prepared to coach people. It's now the other way around, where they prepared me, so to speak, to know what's to come, to know what to expect, how it will look like, etc., etc. So it feels like I went through these things, even though I just went through these things with someone else, if that makes sense.
And every time's different. And as a natural competitor, you're normally leaving years between stage. So it's kind of like you kind of lose a bit of your, I guess, like the flow and the sense of what it's like.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I think a lot of people are, when you're in the process of being that lean, you think things and then you look back in hindsight and you're like, why the fuck did I think like that? But you have this like comp prep mind and it just throws you off. So I think I mean, the fact that you have taken people to stage, you were taking yourself to stage, you're engrossed within the sport and you've been surrounded by people like myself who have gone there as well. It's not like you're completely disconnected. I think that's probably more of an issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, should we get to questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. So the first...
I'm always impressed with how we time it to 30 minutes. And that is not intentional. It's
me.
just
I'm the
natural
coordinating this.
Oh, sorry for that.
Too much beer.
Yeah, it's the beer.
So,
just too many bubbles.
Alice McBurty. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Alice has asked, who would you recommend reverse dieting to following a cut? I'm 55 kilograms, fairly lean, lift 5 times per week, and I'm currently on a 6-week cut after being in a surplus for about 6 months and maintaining a higher body weight. Wondering if I should reverse diet at the end of a cut to avoid rebound, working calories solely up to focus on building muscle again. For info, at the end of the cut, I will have 1 week holiday abroad, which will make accurate tracking difficult, but I'm very keen not to undo the progress made over the 6 weeks. Many thanks.
So, my opinion on reverse dieting, it's a tool, basically, right? Because you hear all the time that reverse dieting is not appropriate for people, for example, coming out of a contest prep, while I am more of a proponent of something like the recovery diet. I also see that for some people, you simply have to take a strategy such as the reverse diet, especially for people who always had struggles with food. All right, if you up the calories too drastically or too quickly, they can fall into the risk of just like losing it. And we've talked about it in one of the previous episodes as well, the downsides of possibly the downsides of diet breaks or refeeds for some individuals. And I think that is the exact principle that applies when you are not reverse dieting for some people, that you are raising the calories too quickly, and that ends up with them binging their face off because of still the negative adaptations being applied, but the body is kind of sensing that more calories come in and you're just losing it. Sometimes that is also due to the decisions that you're making in regards to the food choices. But I think that for some individuals, reverse dieting makes sense, especially when they are always a little bit fat phobic. So being a little bit anxious about gaining fat along the process, so then you can gradually increase the calories over time. But I don't think that there's an inherent benefit. You will not increase your metabolism or anything like that. It would be so amazing if that would actually be the case, that you could build up your metabolism like up to, I don't know, indefinitely, and now you're eating like 5,000 calories and you're still lean. Probably not going to happen. It works for some individuals, but just because they are prone to adapt to that caloric intake with just increased need. We've seen it on studies where there was a discrepancy of people being super sedentary and some people increasing their activity by 2,000 calories, right? And there was even another study just looking at people being overfed by 1,000 calories. And there was a group that nearly didn't gain anything at all. And there was a group that did gain quite a significant amount. And that is just because the people that haven't been gaining a lot of calories were the ones who just got more and more active the more you fed them, right? And for because of the argument of building up your metabolism. So for just to sum it up very quickly, who is it appropriate for? I think that for people who have an issue with just an overall food relationship, with fat phobic people, and also just people who have no aspirations of, I don't know, getting the most out of their body composition. Because in that sense, I would then say, okay, you have to go through these cyclical phases of cutting and gaining, because they are probably the most efficient route to your overall success. And Frederick Ibsen, so the Danish bodybuilder, if you don't follow him over on Instagram, I would highly recommend you doing so. He's just incredible in regards to his shape and stuff like that. And he just recently posted something about what it means to be a bodybuilder, right? And for him, it is like, okay, I'm not leaning down in summertime to have a six-pack at a beach or so, right? I'm comfortable in gaining when that means to improve my overall body composition. I'm also okay to train this amount of days per week and exchange it for other social occasions, for example, because I have a goal of being a good bodybuilder, right? And this is the same here as well. When it comes to reverse dieting, it is a longer process. You're probably kind of spending longer time in a deficit or just building yourself up, which you could easily have been spending in a maintenance phase and then in a gaining phase. But if that's what you need to stay on track, that's totally fine, right? Everything comes with a trade-off. You just need to realize what works for you and what you are willing to invest and get out of it.
Brilliant. I think you covered that really well. I think I'm in complete agreement. In most cases, if people are considering reverse dieting, it's that versus like a recovery diet, or that versus just getting straight into gaining, which probably is more efficient, because if they're reverse dieting, typically that means extending the fat loss phase, because you're inevitably just decreasing your deficit over time. But for some people, that's kind of what they need. They need that babysitting approach. For her, because it's 6 weeks, that almost sounds like a mini cut, especially because she'd been gaining for quite a long period of time. And actually, mini cuts are like there to rebound you. That's almost what they're set up to do. It's kind of like you're pulling back the rubber band to ping you right forward and propel you into your mass again. And therefore, 6 weeks, you're unlikely to have lost much kind of metabolism. Like, you're probably haven't adapted down too much, maybe like 5-10% from where you were beforehand. So if you wanted to be, like Pascal said, more purposeful, probably more efficient with your muscle growth, you could probably jump to 5-10% lower than what you were massing on before and just go again. Expect a rebound of sorts, like you're going to gain some pounds in the first couple of weeks. Ignore those. Focus on after 2 weeks, because now water weight will have settled a bit, and then you can enter your mass from there. But if anything Pascal said about the psychological issues with adiposphobia, if you think it might set you up for a binge or anything, that's something you want to take care of. And also on holiday, you do want to be really careful, like dieting right till holiday and then going away. When there's so much palatable food and you're probably loafing around, not being so, burning so many calories, it can be really easy to rebound in a negative way. So in that case, kind of reversing into that holiday a little bit probably is a wise move. I realize we're probably really behind with this, aren't we? Because that was April.
Yeah. Sorry. But thank you very much for bringing that one up, because I totally forgot about the length of the cut will, of course, also determine how to approach the time after a cut, right? When it's a mini cut, just jump straight back into a surplus. When it's a prolonged cut, I would always advise taking a maintenance phase.
Cool. Perfect. Andrew I can't say his last name. He knows it. Podsack. I think he's told me how to pronounce this before. I apologize, Andrew. Andrew
Is
P.
it something like Potacek?
Maybe. It is Polish. So it may well be. He said, aka Ghostman, aka Vascular Beast, which I think is what we actually ended up calling him. Anyway, so Andrew has asked, are there any foods you guys never have when cutting because the serve is disappointing? E.g., I never have pasta because if I have it, I want more of it.
Rice. I love rice, but I can't eat it in a cutting phase, especially like that sticky Japanese rice, or like Thai rice is sometimes as well when it's steamed. Just love it, right? But I can't have it because it stacks up super easily in regards to calories. It's nothing like super palatable food, but you guys know me by now. I don't experience that much joy in something like candy. It's more something like that. And that's why I can't really have rice on a regular basis. And pasta is one as well. Pasta never fills me out and never satiates me. I would probably need to have something like 300 to 400 grams of pasta to actually satiate me. And that is already over 1,000 calories, which is definitely not worth it without any kind of good protein.
I'm not really sure. If there's anything I particularly avoid. I did have rice on my last cut. I don't know if I don't get much from potato. I wish I did, because it's high on the satiety index and it should fill me up a lot. But it never seems to. So I don't know if You're not doing it right, Steve. You know the secret ingredient you're missing out on. Quark.
Exactly.
Do you ever mash them together? No. Just dip.
Yeah. But I mean, you can try. You can make your own mesh. And have you ever heard about the hack with Actually, it's a little bit of a joke because do you still remember the time when people always made jokes about a cauliflower?
Yes.
So everything
people
cauliflower,
into, like, that's not rice. That's not a pizza base, whatever it is.
Exactly. And there is a quote unquote hack to actually make your potato mash a little bit bigger, and that is in conjunction with cauliflower.
The worst I've done is, I can't remember what the amount of cauliflower was, but it might have been something like 100 grams with like 20 grams of oats. And I made that's so little oats. And I made that into like a cauliflower oats and put salt in it with almond milk. And I just topped that with casein. And it was...
The things we are doing when we are cutting.
It tasted
it's awful.
Good at that time. And I just looking at it now, I'd be like Charlotte would look at it and she'd be like, that looks so bad.
Yeah. And I have done a couple of times cauliflower pizza.
Oh, yeah.
And... the thing is that I was always using, what's it called again? The paper that you're putting underneath
baking
in the stove.
Sheet? Or
Yeah, baking sheet, exactly. And I put the cauliflower pizza dough on it. The thing is, though, that cauliflower pizza dough is still super moist and wet. You're putting it on it, and the sheet is then attached to it. So it burns itself into the pizza, and then you have to eat it with the pizza. And it was always like, fucking hell. And then... you've been eating the cauliflower pizza in conjunction with the sheet. It was the most awful thing that you could have eaten, but it served a purpose at that time.
Sounds like extra volume for the minimal calories. Yesterday, I put a post up about like protein and fiber and how they're not free foods. And someone said that in their contest prep, the thing they're hooked on is eating coffee beans. Raw coffee beans.
Oh,
and now imagine, because I've eaten chocolate covered coffee beans and they're quite nice.
No.
Yeah. And so I bet you now you've got that in your mind, coffee beans, eating handfuls of coffee
Thing
beans.
is, though, I always hated it as a child, but I think that as a child, you always hate coffee unless you drank like kids' coffee. I don't know. Did you ever drink kids' coffee?
No, I don't even know. What is that? Like really milky?
Kids' coffee is... I don't know. There was a brand here in Germany called Karo Coffee. Yeah, so yeah, basically it was for children without caffeine and stuff. Don't know if it really tastes like coffee. But anyway, what I wanted to say is I always hated a candy with coffee taste. Something like chocolate with coffee, or I don't know, there was sometimes like ice cream with coffee taste. I always hated that, and it's still the case. I really don't like it. And thus, I don't think that I would enjoy eating my coffee beans here.
He said that the crunch is really satisfying.
How deep in a cut must you be to actually enjoy?
The hack I'm seeing recently is whole cucumbers dipped in sweetener.
I mean, yes, you're getting really creative when you're deep in your cutting stages, like really creative. Sometimes I'm astonished by the creativity of some guys, also including myself. What I've done in the past, sometimes I don't even remember how I did it in the past, right? The recipe for something. But did it really taste well? Yeah, at that moment, yes, but everything would have tasted amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So,
is the pudding oats, are they going to make a reappearance?
For example, pudding oats. I don't.
Used to make those every day.
Every single day, sometimes even twice. But it took such a long time for them to actually stick together, so that it's really pudding. And made 1.5 liters of volume, right? And 500 calories only. And it tasted sweet, super sweet, sometimes too sweet, but it is just the nature of a cut. Just everything overly sweetened.
Charlotte can always tell when I'm cutting because I'll make like oats into Tupperware and then I'll eat like this first line here, then I'll rotate the Tupperware and then eat like it like piece by piece. Oh my God, I'm not looking forward to it.
Have you still habits like these?
Because none of these now.
No. It's weird, right? Because back when I was younger, I had 2 habits, and that is one, I was always eating the edge of a bread first. I don't know why. Always eating the edge of the bread first, and then the bread. And then there was a time where I was eating bananas, always the outer circle of the banana, and then I was first eating like the middle of the banana. I don't know why. It was so freaking weird. But I don't have habits like these anymore. I don't think that I do, at least.
These eating, they're kind of leaner habits, I guess, but they come back quite quickly. When I cut last time, I think mini cutting, they entered in a little bit, and Charlotte was like, "Oh no," she knows the kind of the things I start doing, and I'm like, "Oh shit, I am, aren't I?" Damn it. Right. Oh, this is also from Andrew. So he has asked, "Do you experience great muscle pumps but still feel no strong mind muscle connection at times? I notice that sometimes I get a mad pump with solid connection, but once the pump kicks in a few reps after, the connection gets strong most times, but other times it's just a burn and pump with no connection. Weird. Thoughts?" I have one thought.
Go ahead, because I have a really hard time thinking about a scenario where you can create a pump without kind of a mind. I mean, yes, when you're just doing pump work, right? Sitting on a leg extension machine, for example, and even if your technique is shitty, at some point you will feel a pump, right? But I would just assume, and this is just a basic assumption, that maybe the execution isn't really a proper from the get-go, and that the pump is just being created by the natural environment that the exercise is then causing.
The only thing I initially came to mind is, just because I've heard of this as a thing that happens with people who are on anabolics, is that they sometimes just get horrendous pumps in muscles without really having tried.
For example, lower back.
Yeah, I was going to say
many
back.
People report that they are getting a super intense lower back pump.
Yeah. But otherwise, I'm the same as you. I've never experienced it where I've not really had a mind muscle connection with the pump.
Yeah. So I have not really any idea of why that is the case, but when it is due to anabolics, I would just assume due to the vascularity in it for itself, that blood flow is just increased, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the reason is. I've just seen guys who are on have said it. That's as far as I've got. We have another question from Andrew, so we can do his a bit quicker.
that is the Andrew
he is
episode.
A client and Patreon supporter, so I give Andrew massive props. He asked, "Have you ever cracked a smile or got really happy after a great set or rep that you had perfect mind muscle connection on and a solid pump? Because I sure do at least a few times every session. Haha, sometime I'm so happy I laugh." Brilliant.
I mean, I had times where I was really happy about the entire set, but that was more during the times I did powerlifting, because I don't know, because you can measure PRs and personal bests so much more acutely instead of like doing the math and calculating and stuff like that. And I don't know, having like a 12 repetition PR doesn't give me as much satisfaction as something like 1 repetition max PR or so, right? So right now it's just like going in, doing what I'm supposed to do, and moving on. No, actually, not that I can remember. Maybe there was a time, but not that I can remember from the top of my head.
Mine's pretty rare as well. I think the only time I was pretty chuffed with what I'd achieved was when I did like a lunge giant set and my quad was exploding, and I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to do any more. Yeah. But I rarely am the same as you. I'm kind of
yeah. So the only time that I can remember that something similar may have happened can also be that I just imagine it right now, or that I just dreamt it or so. But when I get a really nasty titty pump, that's just so I think that there was a time where it was so nasty that I was laughing about the insanity and the severity of the pump that I was experiencing. Holy shit, what is going on here, right? And that caused a little bit of a laugh out. But
I think I was just going to say, I think I've done it before where I've got so into a lift where I've made some funny noises, not really thinking about it at the time. And then I finish and I'm laughing at myself yes, I'm such an idiot. Why was I making those noises?
That's what I've experienced as well. And then, oh, where did that come from?
I'll even do it on like the second rep or something, and I'm like, Steve, what are you doing? Why are you making such a weird noise for no reason? Okay, back in the game.
It's funny because we are quite similar when it comes to lifting. We both are kind of introverts, just lifting for ourselves, super quiet, even if it's a hard set or so. Not with a lot of shouting and stuff like that. So filming a set of us and putting some heavy metal music underneath will probably not do a lot.
We need like classical music.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been called Silent Mike before. Someone was like, you're like Silent Mike. I was like, why? I didn't even realize that's why he was called Silent Mike, because he doesn't make noise when he lifts. Right. Last question, probably, because this looks like a hefty one. So yeah. Carl KRS Fitness has asked, hey, Steve and Pascal, love the podcast, especially the improvement season, as it's so cool to hear you guys just chat about your own training and generally what's going on in your lives, etc. My question is a bit long, sorry. I've been back training as of start of February after a very long time off through a shoulder injury, eventually needing surgery. Due to this time off, not being as active and not being in a deficit, my weight shot up to 211 pounds. Working off my current BMR and general activity calculations, I put myself in a 30% deficit to get the weight shifting, dropping my calories to about 1900. My weight dropped initially, but I've been stuck fluctuating around 206 to 208 for near about a month. A few people have said I look leaner, but I don't see it myself. Now, putting my coaching hat on and looking at me as if I was a client, my initial questions would be, how accurately are you tracking calories and how active are you being? And as it's me, I know the answer to both of those, which is very. My only plausible reasons I can think of for the stall is either I need a diet break, had 2 months solid dieting, or I've possibly gained some muscle back / muscle memory maybe. Performance in the gym has been increasing every week. All my calculations are all out and I'm actually only in a small deficit. Lol. Would love to know your thoughts. Hope that all made sense. Again, love the podcast and we'll see you in May. Oh my gosh, this is so long ago.
Oh,
this is Carl. This is Carl. As I was reading it, I was like, I know Carl and he's had this injury and I feel really bad now that we're getting to this so late. Sorry, Carl.
Yeah, but it's always valuable, hopefully, in the overall message we are putting out. And when someone can relate to that, right, he hopefully gets something out of that. So what are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts is when he said, I was hoping he'd get there himself, or I possibly gained some muscle back / muscle memory back, maybe. And I was like, yes, especially because other people are saying that he's looking leaner. I think that's certainly happened. I also do think the other, like not having had a diet break and it's been 2 months, possibly because he was in quite a hard deficit, 30%. I imagine he's probably pretty fatigued and that may lead to cortisol and lead to water retention. So it might be a good time to kind of just give himself a bit of a break. I'd be interested to see what measurements we're doing, like if his waist was still decreasing like every few weeks. I imagine it probably was, but I think because he was out of the gym for so long, but he was relatively well trained beforehand, I think muscle memory is a real thing and he will have gained a fair bit back.
Absolutely. And just to add something to what you said there, because I totally agree with you. When other people are saying that you are looking leaner and you don't think that this is the case, are you taking pictures? Because pictures are an objective measure, even for yourself, right? Seeing yourself on a day-to-day basis in the mirror, yes, I can see that it is a skewed perception and that this depends on your overall mood of the day. However, when you're taking pictures, just looking at them, you can actually stay a little bit more objective when you just compare these two with another. This, in conjunction with girth measurements, would have been so valuable for you in your situation because these are two metrics that you could have taken on top of all the other things that you're tracking at the moment, which would probably have told you a quite good story or maybe even a bad story in the sense of that you are truly stalling or not, right? And then you could have made an easier decision of making adjustments or just sticking with the process or not, right? So that's why I always encourage people to take more than just one metric, because that one metric can always be off due to several different reasons, right? The scale weight doesn't always tell us what we would like to see. especially in your case, in your situation, when you are regaining a lot of muscle tissue as well, it could look like as if you are not making any kind of progress, right? How disheartening is that after a couple of weeks of just being in a caloric deficit, busting your ass off, and nothing, quote unquote, happens for you, right? But on the scale. But in reality, a lot is changing. That's why track more than one metric. And if you would have taken that from the get-go, you would have probably seen yourself what other people are already telling you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fantastic. And I think his points there for other people listening were really important when he said, putting my coaching hat on, have you been tracking as accurately as you thought? More so than how active, because, I mean, he weighs over 200 pounds and he's eating under 2,000 calories. He's certainly in a deficit, like no question, if he's actually accurately actually having that. And a lot of people who say they can't be losing weight and they're in such a position as Carl is probably aren't being as accurate as Carl is, because that might not even be their fault. They might just not realize that they need to track alcohol or fruit. I remember I used to think fruit was calorie free. I used to think, it's just because it's good for you, so surely it doesn't count. So yeah, these things matter. I just
want to bring up a personal anecdote. Well, not really a personal anecdote, but more so observation from one of my clients. I'm currently working with one client that I've been working with back in 2017. He came back to our coaching services after after 2 years of kind of hiatus. He has been working with other coaches, and he came back. We had the consultation because back in the days he had a little bit of issues of losing the weight. And we already had the discussion about, okay, are you really tracking accurately, right? I even wanted him to share his MyFitnessPal entries with me so that we can have a look over everything. We even tracked 1 week where I gave him like an instruction of, this is what I want you to eat now for 1 week, kind of a meal plan, right? Yeah. And nothing else. If you are losing weight on that week, it's probably down to inaccuracy of your tracking. So we did that. He lost weight on that week, right? And then at some point, we split parts. He has been with them working with other coaches, and now he came back. And what he basically said in our consultation was like, Pascal, at some point, I was sitting down with myself and had a true talk with myself and came to the realization and needed to admit to myself that I was not tracking accurately. And I knew it. I knew it all the time, but I was just lying to myself the entire time. I was cheating myself. There was always like, okay, I knew that I took 150 grams of something, but I plugged it in as 100. I don't know why I did it, but I just did it, right? And over time, this is something that you see with a lot of people, especially in the off season, when they can, quote unquote, get away with that of just being a little bit less accurate. And then it's like, okay, it goes from tracking like 90% of the time to something like tracking only 80% of the time. And then all of a sudden you're just eyeballing things. And then you're totally out of whack when it comes to the entire tracking. And this is something that many, many people do. And especially, believe me, when you are in a cutting phase, your body doesn't want you to lose the weight. It is not a cool thing for the body, right? And it will sometimes even trick you and make you do things that you are not really aware of, where just calories creep in. And these are just like super, super quick situations of like a quick second or so, a split second or so that you don't really realize or notice. It's just like, yeah, I'm just eating like a handful of nuts here. It doesn't really count, right? And then you forget about it in 5 minutes and you didn't track it, right? And the body doesn't want you to lose the weight, and it will do everything, right? And if you are then not 100% on point or 100% true to yourself and accountable for yourself, right? Then it can easily fall into a habit where it's just like one day goes to, or becomes 7 days, becomes like 1 month, and all of a sudden you're not losing the weight anymore because you're constantly miscalculating or misreporting what you're actually eating.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said there, because I think we have a lot of coaches that listen. And so if you have clients and this sort of thing's happening where you're like, they say they're eating this much, but they're not losing, they certainly should be losing. Do like what Pascal had there. First of all, just ask them up front, like, how accurate are you being? Because sometimes they'll be like, oh, actually, I'm not tracking any of my fruit or veg. And you're like, right, start tracking that, or whatever it might be. Or you just get on top of them and be like, this week, I want you to be super accurate. And then you find they lose weight. or you have to sometimes, and I've taken it to this point with, like Pascal has, look at their MyFitnessPal. Sometimes it's a complete mess. I've had people who have like, they've eaten a ham sandwich and they've made this at home or something, and they've just plugged in ham sandwich and it's like generic ham sandwich, or like they've eaten, I don't know, it could be like a banana and they've eaten some grapes and they've just put in like generic values for all these things. It's like, okay, you had, my wife made like a chicken curry. So I just searched chicken curry and I put in the first one that came up. And I'm like, holy shit, are you kidding me? Like, like you put in a serving of chicken curry from just a random thing. And it's like, okay, sometimes that education needs to come, and this is where you can then help them. Pascal obviously did that and then took it a step further and gave a meal plan. And that can be really helpful. You can get them, even if you want to design a meal plan and say, okay, follow this strictly. And then because I think that was really, really educational.
And also, just because I brought up this story, because there was a reason for it, that the client himself sat down and was actually then willing to have kind of a reflective period with himself and be absolutely honest with himself. Like, okay, this is my own fault. I'm under control here and I'm the one who is eating those macros and calculating those macros and has to, or is responsible to actually set up the meals on a day-to-day basis. So I need to take responsibility. I'm an adult, right? And I can control my actions. That he did that he came to the realization is not really a common thing, because this means that you have to confront yourself with your basically failures, right? And this takes a lot of courage to have that chat with yourself and that reflective period. And this is why I wanted to bring that up, because I gave him massive respect and big props for that. And that's also one of the reasons why I decided once again to work with him, because I clearly saw that he changed his mindset and his approach like drastically, and that he really worked on himself and the entire thing. And when you're putting in work and effort, why are you cheating yourself? I mean, no one else is kind of watching, right? For whom are you doing it for, right? And then it becomes kind of a waste of time and you're just spinning your wheels. Is it comfortable? Sure. Right, but it becomes uncomfortable over time when you are not making any kind of progress.
Yeah, I think that's completely true. Unfortunately, it's human nature to always think it's someone else's fault. So when you can take authority for your actions and really do that, it's so good, and you'll feel so much better for it. You empower yourself with it. So props to that. Props to your client.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. So
cool.
We shall leave it there.
Yeah.
We are on question. Oh, we're almost on 200. We're going to have to ask for some at some point.
But before we do that, to end the show with a plug as always, today is the day of the days, the day where we are releasing the Ultimate Guide to Contest Prep ebook together with our guys from JPS. It's a super extensive ebook about contest prep. Sets you up from the prerequisites of contest prep all the way to transitioning to the off season again. I've only done the graphics for the ebook, the layout and all that kind of stuff, so I haven't done any kind of writing, and still I can say 100% for certain that it is so extensive, and that's all you need to actually further educate you on contest prep when you are a coach yourself, or when you are just a competitor who wants to set himself up like properly. Go and check that out. It's right now on sale for the first 14 days, and then after that it goes up for the normal price.
Yeah, the guys, Jacob and Lyndon, Jacob and Lyndon did a fantastic job with their sections of the book. I was kind of blown away by how much in-depth and quality that they ended up putting in there. And Pascal, as always, the diagrams and the graphs and everything and the layout just makes it an absolute pleasure to read and makes it really easy to digest. And if you guys liked the Primer Phase ebook, you'll absolutely love this. This is, the Primer Phase, what was that? Just under 30 pages. This is 170 pages, ultra comprehensive. And like always, we're here. If there's other questions that we don't cover in there, ask us. We'd be happy to answer them, and we probably want to update the ebook. So that's awesome. So if you pick it up, do let us know. Give us a tag on Instagram or something, or give us we'd love a review. And everyone who came, I guess, on Sunday, thank you very much for coming. I hope I didn't shit my pants and I wasn't really in a nervous rash. I'm really hoping I don't have such a stress response, but we shall see.
Maybe I'm the one shitting my pants this time.
Let's hope no shitted pants.
Yeah. Not because I'm nervous, just because I wanted to. So yeah, let's end the show here.
Cheers.
Cheers.